When we're building products, we sort of fall into this trap where we have to be showing high fidelity mockups and screens and prototypes in order to get actionable, usable feedback. And that is just totally not the case. And so today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking a look at my very real design process as I walk through very, very low fidelity, even text based interfaces, all the way up to the high fidelity mockups and explaining my process, explaining where I can get feedback, how I'm sharing what I'm looking for, and how that leads to a better final product experience. So let's dive in. Alrighty, so we are in Figma now. And I think the trap we all fall into is we feel like we have to start here, right? We've got this really polished, high fidelity design, and this is great. It's a great tool for getting feedback, but you don't start here. You start with something much lower fidelity. So let's go look at all the work that happened behind the scenes to get to this final design here. So we're going to hop over to FigJam and look how messy this is. Look how scattered this is. This is okay. This is the process, right? It trusts a messy process. And what we unpacked here in this file, we went through a lot of exploration around the customer journey, trying to understand what customer pains are happening. And then we started ideating and iterating towards designs here. So we just do like a really quick tour. And this, we were all about just building context for ourselves. So we started with sort of existing product ecosystem ideas. We just started mapping out customer journeys and diagramming and going through the current product experience. We looked at some existing products that the team had already in their wheelhouse here to kind of get a sense of what the current experience is looking like. We started building up our actors maps and really understanding how all of the different people, because we always want to start with humans, are interacting with our services. And we just kept iterating from here. And I think a lot of people, we got to go here. We got to just have this really polished mock-up, this really polished experience here. But if you're not doing the work behind the scenes to understand people, understand how all of the pieces fit together, this is like polish, right? It's just lipstick. It's just not going to be contributing to an actual product experience that people want to have and will add value to their lives. So what was the earliest version of this experience here? Let's come over here. This was the first version of that design. Look at, and it can be this low fidelity. I think we think wireframes when we think low fidelity, which is boxes on a page. We can get even lower fidelity than that. This is sticky notes on a frame here, and we've kind of grouped them by features. And this project has very, very deep data needs and considerations as well. And we wanted to, externalize that within our designs as well. But this is it, right? So all of this that's happening over here, this was at more of a product level. So Lighthouse is the product that we're evolving to. And then we had some other products here that all sort of fit in their ecosystem. But we started thinking about the features based on all of our understanding of the customers and all of that customer journey mapping. What could we provide that would be valuable to them that we could build towards and start molding into a product experience here? So that's where we start with here. And we iterated on this several times. But the great thing was I could go to the team and I could say, hey, this is sort of conceptually what we're thinking about for the product experience. What feedback do we have? Or I could show this to some of our build partners that we have, some of our customers, and ask, like, we're thinking of doing these sort of product features within this experience here. What makes sense? What doesn't make sense? And we can have a conversation. And really, that's sort of the goal, is to have conversations with people. It's not designed for design's sake. It's not creating mock-ups just to create mock-ups. It's so we can show someone and get feedback and iterate. I think a lot of times we go heads down. We get trapped in the vacuum. And we just want to say, I got to ship. I've got this Jira ticket. I've got this ticket. I've got to get done for the team here. And we fail to talk to people, and we fail to produce something that's actually valuable for them because we just don't know. If we're not talking to people, we don't have the context we need in order to design something valuable. So when we're creating artifacts like this, it's not that we have to do customer journey maps. We have to do a site map. We have to do a service blueprint. We create these artifacts to have productive conversations and learn from the people who are experiencing the pain we're trying to solve. And that is the work that needs to happen in good product development here. So again, it's not that we have something low fidelity, it's that we have an artifact we can have a conversation about with people, and we can learn from them about what we actually need to build and start validating all of our assumptions. And so this was a really productive exercise for us. We were able to we talked to the team, kind of align around their product vision. We were able to talk to customers and say, hey, do these features make sense? And we were able to start building from here. So now that we had this sort of this validation, that's when we started getting into Figma, and we still weren't here yet. This took a lot of iterations. This is actually like V3 of the product experience. So if we come back here, let's take a look. We started with some work in progress. Again, scribbles, right? We are iterating very quickly here. We're just exploring new directions, new paradigms. We had some other products that we were taking inspiration from because we thought they did a really nice job with these specific interaction patterns that we wanted to highlight. And we started iterating on that. So I think this is the Odeer product. They have this really nice sort of uptime monitor that we really appreciated. And we were sort of weaving that into our product experience. So again, we're not copying other experiences. This is a totally different product in a totally different environment. But we were saying the way they presented this data is really powerful and something that we wanted to explore within our own product experience. And we've since moved away from. So again, we're continuing to iterate, but we're exploring. And what can we do with this now that we have it? We got to show it to people. We put it in front of them and say, hey, what do we think about this screenshot from a totally separate product? We didn't even design this, but what do we think about presenting the data this way? We can have that conversation. And all of these things were driving towards conversations. And still a lot of thinking going on here. This is a very data intensive product. So again, we're looking at different ways to slice and dice and present that information here and how we can share it. And there's a lot of text in our files as well. It's not just static designs. It's getting all of the stuff that's in our head out onto paper so we can explore it. And then finally, we start getting somewhere, right? We've got directions. We've validated a lot of our thinking by talking to people and taking notes. And now we start shaping together a product direction here. So for us, we had some section headers here, so we could talk about different parts of the experience and have sort of logical groupings. And we sort of had our designs laid out here. Again, this is like sort of it's not a very branded experience. We're just trying to understand what data are we showing to people. We're just trying to understand if these interactions make sense and if we have the right information. And this was the basis for our first MVP with this group. And we were able to put it out there and start getting some customer feedback, which we're in the midst of today here. But we're not investing super, super heavily in the visual design per se. We're just trying to make sure that the information on the page makes sense, that we've got the information architecture lined out correctly, and that we're presenting the right information at the right time to people. But again, we start with some low fidelity designs and work our way up. Now that we've got this out there, again, learning from people. We can talk to them and say, what's missing from this experience? What do y'all like about it? And that's where we arrived here, right? And we went through iteration. We went through lots of different ways of looking at this, and we arrived right now at this design here that we're pushing forward. That is, in a nutshell, sort of the process here. So from starting here, from just, words in boxes and just sort of logically grouping them, we're getting feedback, we're getting information, and we're iterating towards high polish, high fidelity designs here. So the reason we go through all of this effort is to share, because insight grows with context. The more we can understand what our team is thinking, what our customers are thinking, the better our designs are going to turn out, because our teams and our customers, they see things we don't. They just have different contexts. They are closer to the pain, and they are better at articulating what works and what doesn't work for them. The other thing to call out here is mockups are great. They get a lot of good visual feedback, and they can show people how it works. But really, the true test of an experience is to get it into a prototype, which might be another video for us in the future here. But that's when people can feel it. They get their fingers on it and can really live in the experience and feel it. The other advantages to this sort of workflow is you avoid sort of the sunk cost fallacy, right? If I had just jumped straight to here and was sharing this with people, the higher the fidelity of your output, the more invested you are in its success, which is great, I think, for teams. You're making a bet, you're confident in your direction. At the same time, if this direction is wrong, it's going to be harder for me to throw away. And so early input, starting here, I don't care about this, right? I could throw this out and start over tomorrow or in 30 seconds, right? So having something that's super low fidelity like this, you can throw it away. You can do another iteration. It doesn't tax the soul in the same way that a high fidelity mockup does. And you're also fostering trust, right? A lot of times, especially with designers, we go away to our magic computer land and we come out with these really polished mock-ups, and people say, wow, what magic happened here? Like, how did you get here? And you, while we feel good and we look cool, it doesn't lead to a open environment where you're building with the team. It sort of encourages this us versus them mentality. So by sharing early and sharing often, you're building trust. Sharing early signals openness, not insecurity. I think that's the big thing, especially if you're new to design. That's the hurdles to overcome here. So sharing work is such a great practice. Now, of course, your team needs to be open to that, and so you can build to that. But it's definitely not a sign of weakness in any sense of the way. So how do we go about sharing? Like what does that process look like? I love just going to the team and say, hey, this is really rough. Just preface that. Just let them know like this is not a final product. But I love your perspective before I go too far. And we use a lot of asynchronous tools for this. Obviously, you saw a lot of comments in here and you saw a lot of scribbles. So a lot of what we do is we'll sit down with the team on a call or something like that, and we'll go through these and we'll leave notes and we'll annotate as we're going here. Other things you can do this async as well. We're using this new product called InFlight, and it's been super powerful here. So we can put our screens in here, we can do a little recording over it, and then we can share this with the team and get their feedback. And it's super powerful because they do these nice AI summaries here. So we can see Matt, we got his whole transcript here, but we can get really good summarized insights on exactly what our feedback is, and we can work and we can build from this. So InFlight is the tool we're using the most these days to get feedback because it's just a really phenomenal workflow for us. And again, you don't need finished products, right, to start creating value and getting this insight. You can start with this. You can start with these screens over here. It is all about getting context, and the only way you can get more context from people is by sharing ideas with them. So another practice we like to do is called the crappy first draft, or the bad first draft, the rough first draft. We get it out in front of people and we say, hey, this is a first draft. We're kind of exploring some directions here. What do we think? And again, when we share these really high fidelity designs here, people get caught up in this. They start saying, well, this is a little too dark mode, or I don't like these sliders down here. They get really into the minutia of the visual design, which is important at some point. But again, here we have a much different conversation. It is, are these features going to add value to the experience? Is it differentiated enough from our competitors? Do customers resonate with this? Are we solving the pains that we identified during their customer journey? These are the fundamental experience questions that we need to answer before we can start thinking about how it's going to look and how it's going to interact in their experience. So all that to say, share your work, share it early, share it often, and you are going to see exponential results, and you're going to get better, and you're going to ship better experiences. So thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe for more of these videos, and we'll see you all next time.